So whether or not there is a hung parliament or a majority government, what would be the signature policies that you'd like to be pursuing in your time in the parliament, whether it's in the House or in the Senate? Maybe we start with you, Senator Patrick.
Yeah, look, I think we need to approach Australia's future in a different manner. We're seeing a hotchpotch of policies being announced by the government and the opposition. We need to have a coherent strategy. We need to focus on things like manufacturing. We need to stop exporting iron ore and export steel. We need to stop exporting lithium and export batteries. We need to stop exporting research and export products. They're the things that drive wealth, they drive jobs, they generate intellectual property, they assist in exports, and it's that, along with things like a fairer tax system, making sure multinationals pay tax, and making sure we get proper resourcing or return for our finite resources, our LNG, for example. All of those things will give us the ability to then go and pay for all those things that we need. That is good education, good healthcare, good child support, and a much-needed improvement in aged care. So we need a coherent plan. We're not getting that from either the government or the opposition. We're just getting absolute negativity in relation to what's being announced in this election campaign. No vision. I'd like to see a plan, and I've got things that I think will help Australia move forward.
If I could just do as a follow-up, with just maybe 30 seconds or so for a response. You say you want to stop the export of say, coal and lithium and see the manufacture of batteries here. Are you actually saying we should stop exporting them? I mean, a lot of people talk about bringing manufacturing back on shore, but what would be the mechanism by which you do that?
No, I don't say stop. Maybe it's stop just exporting. We've got to do more here in Australia, and we can do that if the government actually invests in our manufacturing. Not only does that create all those jobs and wealth, it also helps with that resilience that we found we don't have, and sadly it took a pandemic to show us that we don't have that. We've got to change the way we do business.
Craig Kelly.
Firstly, we'll tackle the debt. Mr Albanese and Mr Morrison has not talked about the debt once during this election campaign. It is now $1 trillion. That is $1 million a debt that we are passing on to our kids. Now, we've set out a bold proposal to deal with this, a 15% export licence fee on iron ore. And that will help, what Rex said, to get more manufacturing, more processing in Australia, plus giving us the revenue streams to pay that debt back. Secondly, we'll tackle the housing affordability in this crisis by reinvigorating regional areas of Australia. We'll have a 20% tax discount for both income tax and personal tax in all regional areas 200 kilometres outside the city. We've got to give young Australians, reinstate the Australian dream of home ownership. And we can't do that by crashing prices in the city. We've got to increase the supply in the regional areas where the land cost is cheaper, but you've got to have jobs and industry in those areas first. That's what our plan will do.
So if I could follow up with you as well, why only put an export tax on iron ore? Why not put it on coal? And also your party's promoting 3% housing interest rates. To be able to offer 3% housing interest rates, banks have to be able to lock in 3%. Sure. Money that they can raise themselves. Can you tell us how they're expected to do that? Sure. in basically free world markets?
Okay, there's two parts to that question. I'll take both parts separately. First of all, we have a quasi-monopoly position in the export of iron ore, unlike we do with coal or any other commodity. Our only real competitor in iron ore is out of Brazil, who have their production at almost capacity. We're a little bit out of South Africa. The Chinese are desperately trying to get more production running in other parts of Africa. Good luck to them. That will only be in a drop in a bucket. We look like getting close to exporting 1 billion tonnes worth of iron ore. It is that unique monopoly, quasi-monopoly position that we have that can enable that to be afforded, which we don't have that quasi-monopoly position in any other commodity like we do in iron ore. There's no alternative. There is no substitute that manufacturers and steelmakers have in Southeast Asia other than Australian iron ore. Now, on the 3% tax, firstly, this is for existing home loans only, and it's for 5 years only. The government bond rate currently for 5-year government bonds is 2.77%. Now, that is less than 3%. We're not asking the banks to take a loss on this. Yes, they may not be able to enjoy the multi-billion-dollar profits that they have made in past years, but this is about saving Australian homes. If there was a bushfire or a cyclone or floods threatening Australian homes, we would act and protect it. We have the same economic storm coming, and we've got to protect Australian homes to stop Australians being thrown out on the street.